yeah, it was the idea to make it. I created the blockout and showed it to the guys. It said, "Hey guys, I just started to remake this dust map. What do you think about it?" And Jama, Oleg, they said, "Oh man, you're crazy. It's so a lot of things you need to bring there." And the first idea was create just the art, just for map with some maybe. Right now it's playable demo. Yeah, you can run around shooting with the bots and so on. Yeah, it was just for art.
What's your creative food? Tune in to today's episode with art director and concept artist Jocelyn Makoev. Jocelyn loves Unreal Engine, and we discover where the roots of this passion stem from and how his need to push limits led to contributing to the fabulous assets cooked over at Big, Medium, Small. We also get a look at his incredible playable project called Dust and how things such as food provide him with the perfect creative sustenance. Let's go! Hey everyone, welcome back to the Learn Squared podcast. I'm delighted to welcome on today's guest, Jocelyn Makoev. Hey Jocelyn.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me here, and pleasure.
So excited to speak with you. But before we begin, if you could just let our guests know who you are, a little bit introduction as to yourself, a bit of your journey as to what you're doing today, and of course, what you are doing today.
And hello, my name is Jocelyn Makoev, and I am a co-founder and art director at Big
Cool.
Medium Small. Along with that, I'm working as supervisor in an Unreal Engine aspect. Of course, we don't have a big team and each other involved into whole process, but the Unreal Engine stuff is on my side. If we talk about the beginning, how everything is started, I was a student. I graduated architecture and urban planning. Yeah, at that point, I started to dive into CGI. I started to learn 3ds Max, Photoshop, and a bunch of 3D software. And after that, I met Learn Square. Really, of course, in the middle of that, a lot of things has happened, but I just wanted to underline the important points in my life. It was when I started to learn some 3D, 2D software in the beginning of my student time. And when I met Learn Squared, it was really the big point in my life. Yeah, and if you remember when Learn Squared launched their website, there was 4 courses by Anthony Jones, Jam Jarbaev, Ashthorpe, Maciej, and it was the point when I decided to involve into concept art. Mm, Jama was affect me because I saw how cool how a lot of things he created, and yeah, and I decided to take courses by Jama. Then I took courses from Anthony Jones. I didn't have money, but I buy it just by it. I remember it cost was it about $100. It's if it offline without mentorship. Uh, the the timing was then I really thinking about that I want to be a concept artist. I want to push myself. Yeah, it's actually before I used different software. I tried to understand what I want, but it's really hard to mm, catch everything and try to be a master in everything. And Jama, together with Learn Squared, showed me and give me understanding that you need to choose your direction, you should choose your path and try to follow it. Yeah, that's it. I hope you understand me. Yeah,
Totally,
yeah.
man. So I discovered, but before I started working here, I discovered Learn Squared as a student, similar to yourself. But I discovered it a little bit after you did. So I like 2016, I think 2015 was when those courses launched. And I totally relate to you in terms of that mindset like I was in a similar place where it's like, okay, so do I like? I guess, so what was it for you? Like, did you know what concept art was at the time, or did you kind of know, because obviously you were studying, like architecture, which is still similar, but it's a little bit different discipline, different, I guess, way of working. So like, did you stumble into concept art because of what Lens Squared had done, or was it kind of on your radar and you were trying to figure out a pathway to make that switch?
Definitely, I know about the concept art, but I didn't understand how it works, how they use it in industry. So you should know our topic. We talk about drama many times because drama is really affecting me. And I should say before Ellen Squared, I know who is Jama, and I try to admire him and look at him, and he showed me, not personally, but I think he showed a lot of people uh, that you can make pictures for the film. It was for me really, how to say, it's probably it sounds extremely strange, but yeah, for me it was like wow, you can do a concept art for films, and I don't think about the games yet. About the games I start to think a bit later, but yeah, it was like that, and after that I saw the Learn Square open courses and drama as well, and I decided I should to pay for this guy and try to understand what's going on there. And if I answer on your question, did Lone Squared play a huge role in my understanding what is concept art, how it works? So I should say yes, of course it is. But I should say that I graduated architecture, urban planning also played a big role. And acquired knowledge into university, of course, it helped me and it helps me right now in big media small. It's so important things, man. It's so it gives me understanding how to build the environment, how to build the world. And as you said, it's similar, yeah. And architecture, I know 3D and environment. It's really, I think it's the fundamentally, it's really
Yeah,
important to
that's
understand the
amazing,
things.
man.
Yeah,
And
that's that's
like in terms of, I guess, before I get into your architecture journey, just also to, I guess, share some Jama love as well. Um, his was the first course that I took at N Squared, and even to this day, like how it opened my mind, opened my eyes. I would not have the career that I've had and will hopefully continue to have because of that. So like, I've only ever seen him twice. I hope he doesn't remember me because I think both times I made a fool of myself. However, each time it was just like just to express like, yeah, like how much of an impact it had made, because I didn't realize how lost I was before that, and
yeah.
thinking, because I did transport design, so I guess a little bit of a similar journey. It was a different discipline before it switched to entertainment
Oh,
design, where I guess once you make the jump, you kind of can see the differences clearly. But prior to that, it was more a case of I've got these skills, I can translate them. I'm sure people can, but for me, I needed a bit more help. And the Lenswed courses, particularly the ones from Jamab, which I took first, really was like, oh, I can take risks, but in a calculated way, and just have fun and be way more
yeah,
expressive than which I find very limited.
yeah, yeah.
And same with software. My journey in 3D was Alias and then Maya before what it is now, which is basically Blender plus whatever else. Um, so, but I guess that was a different era because that was more so like it was still kind of ambiguous as to what concept art or concept design or entertainment design was. Whereas I guess nowadays it's pretty fair to say that it's a
Yeah.
very obvious pathway to how to make a career. Like people start off saying, "I want to do this," and then there's a pathway for them. I guess perhaps for us and people a lot older who also paved the way for us did kind of struggle,
Mm,
or not struggle, but I guess more so like we had to kind of fall into this or find your way manually as opposed to a proven pathway that's fully
yeah.
signed up and you can, guide your own way there. But in terms of like architecture, what was it about architecture that really spoke to you and made you want to pursue that as a profession? Or at least maybe not as a profession, but even study it? Because, as you said before, like it is, I would say, one that I admire a lot because of its buildings. Your buildings is civilization and everything else that comes from that and how we use spaces. So I've always found it fascinating. So what was fascinating for you?
I think there's many reasons why I decided to be an architect. I love art as it is, and I love history. I love drawing as a discipline, and my mom an architect. I think everything is matched, and uh, I truly believe that architecture, environment, I don't know, design, even the chair, uh, play a big role in our daily lives. Yeah, and I really wish to create some crazy shapes and impress people and affect on this society. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, but during uh, I knowledge into university, I uh, start to experimenting with 3D, with CGI, and start understand it, and started to understand that self-expression and bring information to people is more accessible for the virtual world. Because you don't need to spend a lot of money for the materials, you don't need to spend a lot of time to approve some stuff. Yeah, I think the bureaucracy killed my desire to be an architect in some aspect. And it's a reason why I decided to uh, push myself and getting myself into CGI more and more. Yeah. So yeah, after that, as I said, it's happened. Yeah. The concept art, and right now in what we're doing in Big Business Small, it gives us so many opportunities to, you what you imagine you can create it. Yeah, so you imagine some crazy uh, shapes, architectural shapes, and of course you should, and of course the fundamental which you get into the university helps you to see everything, but yeah, that's it.
That, like, again, I almost mirrored your journey, especially at university. It was a case of, well, I never really put it in the way you've articulated it, which I think is the way I'm going to articulate it going forward now, where what I enjoyed, because I guess it was similar, like vehicles, especially real world vehicles, it's very grounded, right? A lot of regulations, a lot of all the things that need to happen. But the modules and the lessons that I enjoyed were the ones that were the dreamy ones that were thinking about the future,
Yeah.
really, like have no restrictions, as opposed to what's feasible and just think what's possible. And also halfway through, I realized that I really want to do something a bit more creative, a bit more
Yeah,
freeing, and
yeah, yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
I discovered that also. But equally, I think as you've shown is, and also said as well, is that having that, I guess, grounded and those fundamentals as to how things are supposed to be made can really help you when you go a bit wild,
Yeah.
to really rein it in. Um, was that something that you found natural to do, or did you struggle at any point trying to combine your architectural skills versus the concept art skills?
Uh, yeah. Uh, Actually, yeah, it's everything you combine it when you, because the architecture in the beginning it's really similar of the concept. Really, it's so. Uh, I remember how when I was a student, we are trying to find some shapes and we're drawing some different lines, and action it's really similar. So just in CGI, it's more accessible than in real life. That's it. I think on your side, it's similar with the vehicles. Yeah, it's. I totally understand you. Yeah.
And how are you with, I guess, using software? Like, is that something that you've always been interested in? Because like from 3ds Max to basically Unreal and other things in between now, in that short space of time, that's a big jump in terms of how it's evolved versus how it used to be from the first 3D software up to 3ds Max when you was at uni, right? Like it's gone like this almost. So like I guess when it comes to we're digital artists, so we've always used some kind of digital interface, or obviously mentioned that you picked up a Wacom as well. I guess before that is more traditional and maybe more, I guess, static before it became to the more fluid tools that we know now. But have you always been like interested in, I guess, tech and digital stuff, or was that something you had to really learn the hard way and adapt to?
I really, I in my whole this journey in CGI, I really interested in software, in different software. I don't know, I tried everything, from 3ds Max. The 3ds Max, it was the first of this 3D software, and in the final of this, uh, let's say, pyramid of the software, it's Unreal. But in the middle of this things, there are a lot of different software. It's a ZBrush, it's 3D Code, it's a Blender, of course, it's a Moodbox. Maybe you remember.
Yes, I
It's a
remember
so maybe
that.
you remember Soft Image. Yeah,
I
it's
never used it, but it was like, yeah, I know exactly which ones you're talking about. I just realized I've forgotten how many I've messed around with as well. But sorry, continue.
yeah. There was a lot of there was Maya, Houdini. I tried to learn Houdini about the 10 times, but I understand it's not probably. I'm not. For I'm not for Houdini, because it's really I
Mm.
don't understand this problem, man. It's the same things with the ZBrush. It's really, I should say, I know it's everybody know about it, but Jama opens for a lot of people that it isn't necessary to use the ZBrush. You can use the 3D code, and right now, in my I use 3D code almost in big, major, small. I love to create a lot of stuff with the 3D code. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's and I don't get money from the 3D code team. I just yeah.
Yet, hopefully,
So,
they start sending some over.
yeah, and yeah, it was interesting in the software. And as I said, when I met the Lone Squire, I understand. I mean, it isn't necessary to know all softwares in the world, in the whole world. It's it's really enough if you know only one Photoshop, because in Photoshop even you have a 3D, uh, 3D something about the 3D. Yeah. And Jama show us this way, and after that I tried to choose the software more specific, like okay, Marvelous is for the clothes. Okay, for the modeling I can use 3ds Max, not Blender, because I'm in 3ds Max support the 7 years. And and it's for me it's just really hard to switch my how I thinking in 3D from 3ds Max in Blender. Even now I really do everything in Blender. I mean the shaders, probably some I know renders and other things, but modeling I still doing in 3ds Max, right? And
Mm.
I cannot change my in my brain how to thinking in 3D modeling in Blender still. I know. I think I need some maybe a good teacher, especially for the modeling. But I really believe in Blender, a lot of guys make some cool things. Yeah, it's just my problem with it. So
Nah,
yeah,
I'm in this again. I'm gonna be parroting you a lot by the sounds of it. Similar boat. I haven't. I've only used Blender for like, I guess that's my thing now. Like I think for most people, it's basically Blender's your go-to 3D. But I still miss Maya. Like I understand that's a humiliating thing to say to some. But because I think like yourself, I spent so many years in it to the point where it became like your second nature. Like we all have our favorite type of pen that we use, or type of paper that we like to draw on, even though it doesn't really matter. We have our favorites and our flavors. I think the same goes for 3D software,
yeah,
because when it becomes your muscle memory, it's really hard. It's like learning another language.
yeah.
You might be able to be fluent, but it's very rare that you sound like you were born there. right?
Yeah,
Like, you still have an accent from your old,
totally.
your mother tongue and whatever as well. So, which I think is cool because it kind of gives, it forces you to really like understand what do you really need
Yeah,
from that particular package, whereas you're trying to force everything maybe sometimes into one. And like you said, I think that's the perfect philosophy to have. And I think maybe it's something you fall into as opposed to you plan to do it, but you really do have to kind of understand which tool is right for which job,
yeah.
especially when it's for a job, because time is of the essence. I'm sure you've had many days where you've like just almost wanted to throw your computer at the wall because you're trying to figure something out, only for it to work almost in the click of a button in something else.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I don't know how you feel about software nowadays because I guess everything is almost becoming, maybe easy is the wrong word to use, but almost one click and it's ready. Do you maybe miss having those days where you really had to like figure something out, like you're trying to understand, like quantum physics or something, just to make something work?
Man, it's a perfect question for me. I love this topic uh, because I remember when I was a student and created some uh, interior renders. I really wish to create the most of realistic interior render in V-Ray in 3ds Max. It was painful for me. It's you needed to set up your render, and if you miss something, everything is going wrong, man.
Yeah.
Everything's going. But in 2017, everything is changed, and I tried to find something more easier to give my to get my image because I understand that it's really hard when you, for example, imagine something, and when you move your viewport and uh, press on button, uh, what you imagine is sometimes is disappeared because this process to crafting something takes a lot of time. It's the reason why I started in real time. It was in Unity
Hmm.
in 2017. Yeah, I started to learn Unity, and I fall in love in Unity because I've got everything in real time. Of course, you can do it. I can do it in Unreal, but I wanted to. Um, I saw the series of the films Adam. Maybe you remember, which is Unity
Yes,
created. It's a
iconic. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
three chapters, and yeah, I saw it, and I and then I drag and drop my assets into Unity, and I can to change my lighting in real time. It was for me really, I fall in love, and I decided, and I understand it what important things which is happening right now. Everything is moving in real time. Even right now, you can see how the cinematics and Sava, you can see they're doing in real time in Unreal films, and it's yeah, it's happened, and it's what I
Nah, I think that's a really good point because ultimately you realize that maybe sometimes when you're trying to learn a craft, like I guess the ultimate goal was to perhaps, like say in Sava's example, to make cinematics or to direct almost, and then anything he did was to find a way to do that. Whereas nowadays it's almost like now you can direct almost, like you don't need to worry about too many technical things. There's always going to be something to worry about, but that, like I guess, approach is so much easier now than it is before. And when it, I guess comes to change, like does did you find that difficult how things have changed, or are you someone who is easy to or finds it easy to adapt when things maybe do advance to the point where maybe the skill that you had built up is almost no longer needed anymore? Is that something that you kind of regret, or is that something that you kind of like or feel sad about, or something that you kind of like are perhaps almost excited by?
yeah, I just tried to learn some new things. You should know I took not two. I took a lot of courses on Learn Squared, and
Yeah.
I just decided to shift myself into a more understanding how composition working in
Mm.
cinematics, and if I don't need to spend my time for the rendering and for the some for some different settings and technical issues, for rendering especially. It's really, I even don't believe we are here in nowadays. We don't need to spend time to set up, render setup, and to get this realistic render. Yeah, and I just tried to spend my time to learn some new things. It's a composition. I started drawing more, try and create some more 2D and mix it with 3D. Yeah, I shifted a little bit myself. It wasn't hard to me. I should say it was enjoyed about it because mm, I understand how really important to get something faster, because when you spend a lot of time for something, it's burnout. It's happened with me often with, as I said, the real-time rendering. You have a lot of time to spend it for creativity, composition, yeah, and to get the picture.
And I guess for you now, in terms of like your creative philosophy, and even just to give an advice to maybe someone who's starting out, what would you advise them to focus on, as opposed to, like, because obviously, as your career has shown, tools have evolved and shifted rapidly, and how you need to interact with them has also evolved and changed as well. So what are the, I guess, the maybe the core thing, or the few things that you would say, no matter what happens or what changes, these are the things that you need to focus on, I guess, especially if you want to realize a vision. What would you say those things are?
I think in my opinion, the most important things, you just need to up your eyes and see what happened around, really, because the best teacher is the environment. I mean, even when you create assets, for example, and when you create films, whatever you create, the people trying to copy real uh, our life. In films, if a drama or comedy, they try to bring the emotional, what happened in real life, and that's true. And when we had some intern guys in Big Big and Small, they asked me what I should to learn to make some super realistic assets or make it improve my skills. I every time says, please take a look on the references and try to copy it, and you can, and of course you can copy references, but anyway you bring something from yourself into these assets or films, because all you need to do is just catch the I would say what people are feeling, and bring some a little bit from yourself there, and it will be perfect. I think it's main things in every, for to understand what you need to improve yourself. Yeah, uh,
Awesome.
yeah,
Now
it's
that well put, yeah. And in terms of your approach to references, obviously, like, the beauty of the modern day is references are at your fingertips. Like, there's so many resources out there, Google, Pinterest, whatever. Um, Obviously, real life, like you mentioned as well. And either is valid, you could say, like, you can go out, see things in reality and absorb that way, or you can even get away just looking on Google and getting inspired that way too. What do you prefer?
uh, no, I try everything. Try use everything. It can be Pinterest, it can be ArtStation, it can be just Google something. Even really often I use my own photos, because I love to make shoot some take photos,
Mm-hmm.
uh, mm, and some arts even I created from my photos. Even I shoot myself. I just stand into the make my own composition with myself and take
Nice.
photos. Yeah, uh, and yeah, and I think it doesn't matter where you took the inspiration. The main important things that you like it. If you like it,
Mm.
it can be Google ArtStation. A lot of really right now in nowadays we have a lot of resources, a lot of different resources, man, and
Yes.
I think it's it's really uh, depends on what you searching for. Even I should say there's so many information we have right now, so it's hard to find, probably a little hard to find exactly what you need. Even that's it's happening right now. I think so because I feel it when I need to find some even concrete textural with some dirt details, and so many concrete textures you have, and
Yeah.
you mean, dude, I'm not sure about it. I need to go on the street and took the photos, and probably it's better for me. I don't know, man. It's yeah.
Do you
It works like
have
that. Yeah.
like I have a few where obviously like whatever the project is, that's going to dictate what you're researching. But even still, there's certain go-to things that you always kind of go to, no matter what it is, because you're going to get something from there. Do you have any of those like favorite topics or subject matters that no matter what you're making, whether it's a Christmas card or it's a cake or whatever, you're always going to get some inspiration from that? Do you have any favorite topics or go to categories?
So you mean does I have some favorite place or something which is
Yeah.
inspire me?
Yeah.
Uh, yes, I had some few. Um, I should say it's changed during the um, you know in 2021 and before the 2021 I inspired by Blade Runner. I had some topical films which is inspired me. It was a Blade Runner, it was a Ghost in the Shell, Akira. It was films which just give me some inspiration. And but sometimes mm, uh, it changed, and right now I don't know what happened. I still love these films, and I love this all this uh, uh, let's say things, but uh, sometimes even some just food helps
So cool. Yes.
yeah, helps you to it inspire you to do something. Yeah, and some fruits probably. Yeah, and as you said, it can be even some place. Right now I'm located in Spain, in Valencia. I'm here not a long time, but mm, here I still don't have yet a favorite place, but I have, for example, favorite. Maybe it sounds weird, but I have the favorite food, for example, and when I eat it, maybe it's really probably yeah sounds not good, but yeah, really I eat some fruit, and it helps me to be on the I'd say on the level of creative level. Uh, yeah, and of course, I inspired a lot of the films, a lot of the uh, artists. Helps me to inspire myself. Uh, when I lived, when I was in Moscow, I had my favorite places. It was the uh, garden near my house, which I visited every day. Yeah, and yeah, right now I don't have opportunity to visit this garden, but yeah, that's it. Maybe Aaron, maybe it sounds not good about the food, but
Nah, dude.
I just it's my how to say I want to be honest about this issue.
So,
Yeah.
as I mentioned before, I'm probably going to parrot you a lot. One thing I've gotten into is food. Not physically, because I've had issues with that before, like, ingesting it, but really, looking at food in a new light. I've been watching a lot of cooking shows, especially
Ah,
high-end
yeah,
chefs, and
yeah,
that
of course.
how they treat food is how we treat shapes and like colors and all sorts, and it's just fascinating. But I like how basically you just explained that food is your drug. It's your performance enhancing drug. Is it any particular kind of food, or is it just like the sensation it gives you, or the mind state it puts you in, or is it literally like physically and visually what's on your plate?
Yeah, yeah. It's on my side. I have a favorite one. It's I don't know how it's Mandarin, Mandarin. Yeah, it's
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it has some specific things, which is when you eat it, you have a good mood, and I
Mm.
know I get some inspired about it. Uh, I don't know why I'm talking about it right now. Yeah,
Oh,
but
this is so
but
interesting to me.
but yeah, man, it's happened, and even the weather affects me. Recently, we visited Copenhagen, and I felt a lack of warm weather, you know, and yeah, it's really depends when I see the snow, not the sea, because when I see the snow from the warm place, it's okay to me. But if I feel it and snow falling on my face and everything, I feel that cold. And together with this temperature, my productivity, inspiration, everything is going slowly down. When I lived in Moscow in winter time, every year it
Hmm.
happened with me. And right now, about of 2 years, I celebrating the New Year near the sea with the good weather, with the sun shining, and I love it. I love and inspire me. And I think it's really, as you said, it effect on my work and effect of my productivity. Yeah, it's a good topic. It was a good question
Yeah. No, no, I
because
get it. I
right
get it. Like, it
now I
affects your mood,
explain
right?
myself what happened with
Yeah.
me. These last 2 years was not simple for me, and I tried. Really, I even didn't listen music because before I listen music, and also music inspire you to do something. I love the I forgot the name of the Martinez. Yes, yes,
Martinez, I think.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, Cliff
Yeah.
Martinez. I love his compositions and a lot of things, but should say last 2 years really the weather, the some specific foods makes my mood. Yeah, it's man, it was a good question. Yeah, for
Nah,
me.
man. Like again, the parrots come back. I'm starting to understand and learn the food side of things. Like growing up, for my whole life, I've been vegetarian, but even then, growing up, I hated vegetables. So I've always eaten like very beige foods, and until recently, like I got very, very heavy, like to the point where the weight was becoming a big problem. So lately, I've been eating clean, like
Yeah,
very, very clean food. If I can't cook it, I don't really eat it. As opposed to something that's like kind of ready made or whatever. As a result, I've been eating more greens, like vegetables and what
yeah,
have you, and I've slowly started to become appreciative of how good they are. To be honest, I still hate the taste, but how it's affected my body, my mood,
yeah,
the way I heal. Like it is like it's like a potion, right? A healing potion.
totally.
And I'm not getting any younger, so I need to kind of like get better at that as well. But yeah, it's a bit like we was talking about Lens Squared courses, just learning fundamentals again and learning the theory of maybe composition or color and applying it to what you want to do. It's like a cheat code. But also what you really highlighted there was how you're kind of manipulating yourself or healing yourself through these sensory things, whether it's visual, like you said, with weather and how it affects you, to food, which obviously is a multiple things. It's like taste and I guess whatever it releases in your brain, like how it makes you feel and takes you to a different mindset, and then everything else in between. Music is something
Yeah.
that I've always had a connection with, and for me, it's like medicine.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Cliff Martinez or certain other composers. If I'm in a certain mood, whether I want to focus or relax or whatever, I kind of know which genre or artist I want to listen to, which will take me there. And I'm glad that you said that, because it is, in my opinion, something that if anyone is listening, it doesn't really think of that as like something to pay attention to. If you start doing that, you will see how much you can hack your own brain
Yeah.
almost. Like it's like unlocking a plugin in your or add-on in your brain that makes you do something else. Um,
Yeah.
and even like yeah, like with the weather, I didn't realize how much weather affected me and my mood as well. And just even like the sensation of temperature and cold and all that kind of stuff. It's yeah, like I didn't realize until now, at the age of 37, that it's like, oh, I could have been working on this for so long and finding little cheat codes. So no, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because it's a journey I'm going through in more detail at the moment, and it just seems so obvious as to how useful it is. Because like with the body, all it wants to do is survive, and it can
Yeah.
only do with what we give it, whether it's mentally, physically, or through the senses, and it has to cope. And the more useful stuff you give it, which we can go super like, I guess, pseudoscience, or just even into the more, I guess, health and science realm, is when you really look back throughout evolution, and not even evolution, but like throughout history, and what the human body has needed to survive
Yeah. Yeah.
versus now. It's a bit like, okay, there's so many things that you can consume that maybe does give you initially a good feeling, but it's actually, if you think about it, borderline poison when you have it over and over time. It's very eye-opening in that sense, but
Yeah.
it's fascinating at the same time.
Yeah. You. Thank very much. You totally explain what I mean. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That
Yeah.
mate, when you said food makes me transport to a certain place, or seeing the snow, you're right. Visually, it's great, but physically, it's not so great.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like
Totally.
you really have to transport yourself. And yeah, like when you're a creative, when you're trying to tell a story, whether it's through an image or architecture or whatever else, making a mental note of those feelings, whether it's not just visual, but how you personally
Yeah.
felt, those are the things that make something iconic. You mentioned Blade Runner, you mentioned architecture, like the architecture in Blade Runner, whether it's just through color alone, because sometimes I guess you could say spaces, which is what architecture is not just physically walls, it's how
Yeah.
light affects it and all that kind of stuff. Like Blade Runner is almost like the Bible for all that kind of stuff, right? Like with all the visual language and architecture, and even 2049.
Yeah.
Any Denis Villeneuve stuff, he just seems. I believe he had a history. He had a career in architecture previous to becoming a filmmaker, and in
Yeah.
all of his films, architecture is almost the main character, you could say. But yeah, like even how just space can affect your mood, like a prison cell versus something that almost has no sharp edges, how it can affect your mind. But I'm gonna stop talking now because I'm rambling on. Um, but yeah, like I guess for now, like how did you fall into, or maybe you didn't fall into it, maybe it was more strategic, but how did you end up a big, medium, small? Because clearly with your journey so far and how you approach things, it makes sense as to why the stuff that you guys create a big, medium, small, which is very, very, very excellent, by the way. You can see the philosophy already, like where it's come from. But yeah, how did that journey start?
Yeah. Before I starting to talk about how my journey is starting in big, medium, small, um, I should talk a little bit about the Jama and our relationship. I mean, I met Jama in 2015 when he visited St. Petersburg with some lecture. I know Jama has another version of our meeting, but today I will talk about my version. So After that, we had contact. I was a student on his courses in 2018, and in 2019 we visited together Troy and Horse Unicorn, and I think it was the point when he asked me what I think about the big, medium, small, and what I think about this assets which they did together with Oleg. Yeah, and I said I said, man, it looks amazing, and they're cool things, and we talked a little bit about it, and he said, did I interesting to join them, and I really wish to join them because I really wish to work with Jama and Oleg, because Oleg Zhrebin also is the guy who is took the Learn Square the first course with Jama. I remember this guy.
Yeah, same. We're very familiar with
loved,
Oleg. Oleg's awesome. If you're listening, Oleg, you're a great.
Yeah, I loved these guys and really wish to work with them, and remind Jama I still need some help with some specific things, and they are started to work with post-apocalyptic pack, and they worked on characters, and I said I can help with the environment because they didn't have guys who can make some environment stuff and so on. At that time, on the pack worked Oleg, Jama, and Andrei Kozyrenko. Andrei Kozyrenko from Ukraine. He's amazing character guys. He makes a lot of cool stuff with characters, and they didn't have the guys who can involve into the environment. And Jama said, "Hey, let's start to doing some environments post-apocalyptic," and it was the start of the journey. And I just really wish to create some cool stuff. I know they doing really some the best quality of things, because I know Jama, they doing one of the best things, yeah, and I believed in, and they're really interesting in it to be part of something really interesting. Yeah, and it was the start of the journey. After that, we started to working with other guys, and it was Wild West. After Wild West, we create Lost City, yeah, and so on. And I just was create some environment stuff, but I also helped with some procs for the characters. It was like that.
It's cool. Like, yeah, man. I have a few packs, and already straight away when you open one, it's very different to normally the 3D stuff that you can get generally. It's not only like obviously it's high quality, you can tell, especially with the guys that you have on the team. There's no surprise that it's that high quality. But equally, it's like, oh, it's not only high quality, but I can use it quite flexibly, like very easily. Like it's easy to make it how I want to make it, as opposed to normally when you see something that is such a high quality, like it's very limited. It's almost like, you know, when you see like a statue, like very detailed. Like you can't pose it; it has to be in that position for it to look great. But now all of a sudden, it's artist friendly, I guess you could say. Like it's you can do what you want. So yeah, it's amazing. How much work goes into making sure they get to that level? I'm assuming it's not something that you guys do overnight. It takes a lot of work and I guess planning to do so, right?
As I said, we are trying to push our, let's say, ever new pack. We are trying to involve something new, especially me. I trying to improve myself in Unreal, for example, and trying to bring some new features, some make the life of the artist easier. That, as I said, my wife, one day the artist will just drag and drop big, medium, small asset into the scene, and everything will be done. I said I don't think it's happened, but yeah, I trying to do it, and Jama also every time trying to bring some new ideas to make easier the workflow for the artist. Yeah, you asked me about the how many effort we are put into the our packs. Man, a lot of effort, a lot of effort. I should say we just research everything. For example, we create some pack. For example, it was Wild West. It's not just a research some architecture things and the historical stuff, but we are trying to research all this technical issue and make it flexible, as you said also, into the Wild West. We are bringing a lot of different masks to change the colors, make this leakage more or less, and we create some crazy characters. We create the crowds, and you really can tell your story using these packs. It's not I trying to promote right now the Big Ninja Small. Of course, I wish, but I think many users wishes bought and get our packs don't know how many settings and tweaks you have into these assets. You can change everything. Literally, you can, for example, in the last pack, in Tokyo pack, I just developed these blueprints for the buildings and add their day and night lightings. So you can use your building for the day and for the night. You can change your windows randomly and to get some different variation. You can switch and off some levels of these buildings. You can, I know, you can create everything. Even I put in the office monitors, I put some different pictures, which is changed randomly, Maybe nobody see it, never, but it's changed, and I enjoy it. When I do it, I enjoy it because of course, I improve my skills into Blueprint, for example. I improve my some visual, of course, things improve, and I try and do personally. I try and do my best to bring something new. I think all team doing it. It's the reason why customers are happy, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what you just said there about the screens changing and saying that maybe no one ever notices, it just reminds me of Akira. Like, there's so much that happens that's only on screen for less than a second, that looks like it took forever to do, just for the craft of it, right? Um, that's cool to see, and it sounds like you're definitely you guys having a good time, even though it sounds like it's a lot of hard work. It doesn't sound like it's it's a labor of love, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, man. It's we love it. So I think it's really important. As I mentioned, I said obvious thing again. If you love what you're doing, it happen. It looking good. It makes your happy and makes happy your other guys, your customers. I don't know, your clients. It's really important. I think even in the concept, not concept art, but in the final pictures, you can see when people make it, how it love it, and you can see when people not love it, but I don't know how to say it correctly in English, but when people uh, spend a lot of time for the one picture and still it's not there, you can notice it by the mood of this picture. It's yeah, I think yeah, it's important to love it, and we love what I do. We are doing every time, even for updates. For example, right now we are preparing update for the Tokyo, and I wish to bring some customizable characters in Unreal, and I'm working on it, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
Sick.
Yeah.
Do you have a personal favorite kit, or are you going to be like a parent and say all your children are your favorite, or do you actually have a favorite?
uh, I have a favorite. I don't have favorite because all of this pack is individually good. Yeah, and of course, I involved into Grand Bazaar Park more than others. The reason is why it's happened. I worked with my personal project Dust, and I know each assets personally. I kind of textures there, how you can change it, and yeah, personally for architecture, yeah. But because yeah, a lot of time I spent when I create these levels and create this painting it, cut it, and put it together. It's not meaning it's my favorite pack, but it's just the pack which just spend more time. Right now, I really wish to do something more with Astronova. I really wish to creating something with Tokyo. I loved the pack from Rasmus. I think you enjoyed it because Rasmus create also the phenomenal job, create some
Yeah.
different aircrafts.
And in terms of like Dust, how did that come about? Because before we get to that, I have another question about, I guess, tools and stuff. Obviously, one thing I really like about the big, medium, small assets is how easy. But obviously, Blender is basically what I'm using. I haven't tried it in Unreal yet because I think I need a better GPU. But nevertheless, it's just friendly for that particular software. But from what I can see, it seems equally, maybe even more friendly, perhaps in Unreal as well. Do you have a preferred tool in terms of where you enjoy the big, medium, small assets work best, or am I incorrect in saying that and they kind of work consistently everywhere the same?
Of course, if you ask me what tools I prefer, I would say the Unreal Engine because I'm preparing all stuff, this all packs into Unreal Engine, and I know how you can get the best result using this project file. And actually, we are trying to implement these features into Blender. So keep this level in the same, keep this in the same level. So yeah, of course, Unreal is my favorite tools during the enjoy of these big, medium, small assets. Yeah, and besides that, I would say a little bit of the in number tools. Not actually when I uh, mm, doing some renders or pictures, but I'm doing the stuff. It's a 3D code. It's an awesome 3D software when you can create super realistic sculpting and bunch of stuff. And for the hard surface modeling or some creating more low poly stuff, I use actually 3ds Max yet. Maybe one day I switch on the Blender, but uh, right now, today it happens like that. So yeah.
Cool. So, talk to me about Dust. You released that, I think, was it a couple of weeks ago or this month, right?
It
Or end of
was
last month?
1 month ago, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
1 month
timing's bad.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Time is fly. Yeah. 1 year ago, Grand Bazaar was released, and I wanted to do something that can be challenge to me, challenge for me, and can impress others. So Dust 2 is probably the famous map, not only in the Counter Strike but in the world, for especially for the 3D shooter games. Yeah, and yeah, of course, I'm not a big fan of it, but when I was a kid, I remember how I spent a lot of time to playing in Counter Strike, and I played this shooter, and I have a lot of good memories about that. And I see that I can uh, take it and reimagine it with the Grand Bazaar because it's perfectly matches with Grand Bazaar. And I have another reason. Another reason is that while creating this pack and others, doing some Unreal Engine stuff, I really wish one day to do some stress test for our assets. that was a project that showed us that we could use big, medium, small assets not only for the some cinematics or concepts, which is perfect, but also we can use it. Yeah, it was the idea to make it. I created the blockout and showed it to the guys. It said, "Hey guys, I just started to remake this dust map. What do you think about it?" And Jama, Oleg, they said, "Oh man, you're crazy. It's so a lot of things you need to bring there." And the first idea was create just the art, just for map with some maybe. Right now it's playable demo. Yeah, you can run around shooting with the bots and so on. Yeah, it was just for art. Yeah, during creating this, unfortunately, I didn't have opportunity to finish it earlier because I moved from one country to another. I didn't have my PC. I used my laptop for the work, and when I moved to Spain, continued to finish Dust, and just decided to make it playable because I had my PC and I just find more information how to do it. And I worked with Ben Maurer before. He created his demo, Huxley demo, with the Unreal Engine. I helped him a little bit, and he created all this playable demo. He used the Lyra. Lyra is a simple project from the Epic Games. It's like third-person shooter game, and I decided to that I had experience with it. I decided to implement it to into my Dust. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was from the third person, and I tried. I find information how to switch into the third person gameplay, and yeah, it was a lot of effort was involved into this project. Yeah, I sometimes it's more easier when you do something in like a one-man project without team, but in the same time it hurts because you need to understand everything. I really didn't understand how blueprints worked into the gameplay, but this project helped me to involve myself into this topic, and right now I can do some different blueprints for the big, medium, small, for example. Yeah, that project helps me understand uh, helps me understand better how blueprints are working, and yeah, I think it's one of the important things in what mm, the main experience which I got from the Dust project.
Sick. It sounds like you learnt a ton. It also sounds like it was, I guess, similar to how you guys make kits. It sounds like it was a big undertaking because, first of all, it looks great, just generally just watching it. But to make it playable as well, and the fact that it plays like a high end shooter is also a great achievement as well. What would you say was the biggest thing that you learned from there that was like, okay, this is super cool. I never knew this to this level before, and now it's almost changed the way you worked. Is it the blueprints or is it something else?
Yeah, a lot of stuff was learning. We can start from the blueprints and finish by optimization, because the optimization is really important part of the gameplay. That's it will working smooth on different GPU card, yeah. And I should say it was a big issue in the Dust. And beside that, I trying to understand how I can do demolish, and how I can adapt our post-apocalyptic characters for this Lyra project, and a lot of different issues was solved during creating this project. Of course, when you involve this process, you are trying to find information. You are going to Unreal Engine forums, trying to find the answers. I'm pretty sure that this experience was important to me. because right now I can look on our assets on this opportunity from other side. Yeah, and I think when more information you have, then more deeper this rabbit hole. Yeah, and there was a lot of complex different things that I learned, and I'm glad about it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That it is super cool, but hearing about what went into it makes it even cooler. So firstly, congratulations on that
thank
achievement, and just even like it sounds like everything that you've learned, everything that you developed over the years has gone into that, and also left you with something new that you can also make going forward. Um, Before we wrap up,
you.
do you plan on doing any more things like Dust? I'm sure there's probably stuff happening, or you can take a bit of a break before you do something like that again.
I have some project which I really wish to dive. Right now, I testing the Rococo suite, and I really wish to dive into these animation characters and how everything is working in Unreal Engine. And I don't know what happened in the future, but really wish to test this suite, and I really wish to dive into animation characters more. Yeah, it's uh, in the horizon. I don't have the specific project yet, but I
Right.
think in the process and during creating some animation, it will appear, yeah, in the future. Yeah,
Sick. Jocelyn, it was amazing chatting with you. That was really
yeah,
inspirational.
pleasure.
Thank you for your time. Before we end this podcast, any final words you'd like to say to the listeners?
Thanks everyone who listened us. I hope it wasn't boring, and thank you, Aaron, that you invited me. I should say that I remember how you started doing your first Twitch podcast with Learn Square channel. I just followed you around of 6 or 7 years, and how you are starting to doing your aircraft stuff, and should say it's amazing. And I apologize if I say something wrong, because English is not my mother language. But anyway, yeah, thank you everyone. And if you need some information about the Unreal and something, just following on my YouTube channel.
Sweet.
Yeah, I
We'll
just
make
find some
sure
fruit.
we'll
Yeah.
make sure that's all linked as well. So yeah, just hit to the links and you'll be able to find all the stuff you need to
Okay.
know.
Okay.
No, appreciate the kind words. Thank you again, and also thanks for putting up. The English was perfectly fine. I understood you
Sorry.
perfectly well, and thank you
Yeah.
for putting up with my rambling questions.
No,
I'll
it's
leave you to
okay.
the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. It was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron. Bye bye.
A big thanks to Jocelyn for an incredible episode. Hit the links attached to see what he's up to and give him a follow. And also be sure to head on over to learnsquared.com and let us influence your journey as it did for Jocelyn. I've been your host Aaron Danda. Till next time.